Okay, having a senior moment. Can't entirely remember where we finished off. I know we had something to do with login, logout. Did we get login, logout working?
Yes.
Only login, not login.
Not logout.
Did we do register?
Yes.
Okay, and we can create. Oh, right, because we had a stall and stuff. Yeah. So we haven't done log out. Okay, so that's the piece we're missing. No
Are
worries.
you going to share the code from last week?
Oh, right. This kid just asked me to do that. Get status. Get add dot. Get connect dash m thing. Get push. There you go. It's up. In Git. In Git.
And get?
In Git. In Git. I don't know where I was going with that. There's no song there. I feel like a Git song would be terrible. Okay, so we're going to have to create two things. We're going to need to update our sessions controller, which I'm pretty sure that's where we ended off last week because that's what's open on my screen. And then we have to create a logout component. So not a big deal. Monday's class ended a little nice and early, which was good, about 20 minutes or so early. If we end really early, like we're like 45 minutes last, we'll build the notifier today. If there isn't 45 minutes left, then it doesn't take long to do. Why are you shaking your head? There are people who travel a very far distance to get here, Lily, and they expect a 3-hour class. All right.
Raise your hand. Who does?
I do.
They're all scared. There you go. You're starting a riot. Okay. We're going to modify our sessions controller. So right now our logout is completely useless because it only does view-centric things. We wanted to do things other than view-centric things. So the first thing we're going to do is fix it so that this is not just request.isAuthenticated, but instead uses our new request method that we built. And that looks more like this. Go ahead and put your cursor at the beginning of that. We're in the sessions controller, which is under controllers in the node side of your application. Okay. Go ahead and put your cursor at the beginning there. We're going to type if. Then we're going to highlight request is authenticated and the two parentheses, so they're entirely highlighted. And then you're going to hit Shift and 9, which will wrap the thing in parentheses. So that now becomes a condition, right? Because we're saying that's the condition. So if the request is authenticated, but that's not actually what we want to say, we want to reverse that. We want to say if it's not authenticated, how do I change this? One character. What is that character? Exclamation point. That's right. There we go. It's now reversed. Then we'll do res.status, so we'll respond with the status of 404, or 401 actually. So not authenticated. And we will send an error, could not authenticate, or whatever fun-loving statement you want to make. Hello, hello. Literally wrote one line so far, just this line here. I'll give you a second to sit down and. That's a toughie. Yeah. So some things to note: even though we have a JWT, we have to keep the session variable still around because the session variable helps us to manage things on the back end when communication is happening through calls around the back end. So because of that, that session variable has to exist, it has to remain, which is no problem. We've got it created. But now that we're logging out, we need to nullify it. So the statement we have there currently, request.sessionUserID equals null, stays, because we still have to nullify the session on the back end. We also need to get rid of something. What do we need to get rid of so the React side becomes unauthenticated? What do you think we need to get rid of? Not Flash.
Oh, you already got rid of it.
I already got rid of that. No, I'm saying we need to remove something from the front end. Yes, we need to remove the cookie because the cookie currently has us authenticated, and we need to get rid of that piece of authentication. So it goes like this. It's res dot clear cookie, which some of you might already be familiar with, the name of the cookie is the argument, and our cookie is called token. Dot. Let's give a status back. We'll say a status of 200, meaning everything was A-OK. And we will send a success message. Success. You are now logged out. Cool. I think I'll pause just for a second because this, like, we're literally right at the beginning. Might as well give the last 4 people a chance to just quickly catch up. Next part that we're going to do is create our logout component. Now it looks like I already have the file in place, so I'm hoping you guys have the file in place. If you do not, under components, under sessions, you need to create a file called logout.js. And like any component, right? And the reason why I keep drilling this, because I'm sure you can figure it out, is going to wind up on the final. What are the 3 pieces I need for a component? What's the first piece? Yeah, we need to import what? React. And I want to use effect. How do I write this sentence with use effect, Louis?
Comma.
Curly braces.
There we go. Incidentally, I'm also going to redirect, and I'm going to need Axios. So what other 2 libraries do I need to start pulling in? Yep, I need to import Axios. I mean, if you guys want to do the easy one first. Import, sorry, what? I want to pull redirect in. Nice. So redirect from React router DOM. So I'll never expect you to remember it, but when you're creating these components, it's still helpful to kind of remember-ish what you need, what's important and what's not. What's the second part that I need for my component? Yeah, I need the function. What are we going to call it, Lily? Let's just call it logout. I mean, we could call it get out of here. And then the last thing my component needs, yeah, we got to export that thing. Does anybody remember how else I can write the export? Because I don't necessarily need to write it at the bottom. I can write it somewhere else. Right, I can write it right next to the function. I can write export default function logout if I want to. I kind of like writing it on the bottom line. I find it makes it a little bit more clear, but not as clustered. All right, for the logout, we're not actually going to render any views, right? But we still have to return something. So the only thing I'm going to return is our redirect. So our logout, they're going to hit our logout and literally be redirected. And we're just going to redirect to equals right back to home, like so. And you might be like, well, that's kind of pointless. But we have one more piece that we need to put in. We need to perform an action when our component mounts, right? And our component, when it mounts, uses the use effect because we're using a functional component. So we can tap into that part of the lifecycle by going use effect, right? Use effect takes a callback. And its second argument, to stop it from updating on every single state, property, every type of change, we can stop it by just putting in a set of empty brackets. What these brackets are for is if you put a value in there, like say we've set a state and we put the set state in there, or we created props and we put them in there, what it will do is it will tell use effect to update or fire off anytime those values change. So it winds up creating listeners and starts watching those values. And when those values change, it will update itself immediately, which is pretty cool. It also makes it quite a bit different than the way the lifecycle functions work inside the class components, They work very differently between the two because this doesn't have all of the class component lifecycle operations. Like, for example, will mount doesn't exist. Will unmount doesn't exist. So you kind of lose some of those ones. But for the most part, this is all you will ever need. If you ever need ones to fire off before or after something has mounted, then you'll probably have to use a class component. So next piece, let's write our logic inside these curly braces. We're going to do an Axios.post, and we're going to post to our API/logout. And that's all we need to do. We don't need to post an ID. We don't need to post anything else because what will happen is we'll hit it. We're already logged in. It will know which JWT to remove because it will be our cookie, and our cookies are dedicated to us. They are scoped to us. And it will remove our session. So cool. We'll be able to log out quite easily from our system. So that's it. That is the total kit and caboodle, they say, for logout. Nice. Any questions? No? Let's test it. So make sure you've got both your client and your server running. And for those of you that aren't familiar with that, let me just Control-C, Control-C. So one side will be logged into your blog, right? The other side, I'll just do that, and then you'll CD into client. So left side will be client, right side will be blog. You'll probably have to open up two terminals unless you know how to split your terminal. Has anybody figured out how to split their terminal? Okay. I was just curious if anybody actually looked that up. Once you've done that, go ahead and run nodemon on the node side or npm start if you don't have nodemon, and yarn start or npm start on the client side. That'll boot up your blog. And right now you'll notice that we don't have any paths set here. We're also missing a route. We need to actually define the logout route. So let's go back to our code. Open up routes.js that is located in the client source components. And we're going to add logout here. So import logout from /sessions logout. And then we'll also need to define the logout route, which I'm just going to duplicate login and replace the nouns there with, or the verbs, I guess, with logout. So I wrote login again like a numpty. There. So you're going to write this line, and you're going to write that line. And that will create a new route for logout for us. It's warm in this classroom again. And it's not even that warm outside. Like, it's really ridiculous that it's this warm in here. All right, anybody still typing? Good? Okay, cool. So we have the path. We can navigate to it, but it's not going to work for us because we actually need to post to logout. We can't go get logout, right? And when we type a URL inside our browser, it actually creates a GET request and not a POST request. We need a POST request, like explicitly we need a POST request. So, because of that, it's probably better for us to, no, wait, I'm a dirty liar. We don't need a POST request because we're doing this through React. React will create the POST request for us. I totally forgot. So if we want to log out, all we need to do is navigate to login first. Type in your login details and hit submit. Should take you to blogs. And then to exit, replace blogs with logout. But before you do that, open up your sidebar here, your console, enable your network so we can actually see what happens. Okay, so we're going to go to logout, hit enter. We see the logout post request. If you click on it, it should say success. You are now logged out. Plus, it should have redirected you to the home page. So we'll go through that one more time. So we're going to go / login, ASDF, submit. There's my authentication. I've successfully logged in. Then I'm going to change the word blogs to log out, hit enter, and now I get you are now logged out. And it's redirected me. All right, I also need to now, incidentally, doing this back and forth kind of thing with the bar up here is pretty tedious. So why don't we do ourselves a favor? Open up our main nav. Whoops, not there. main_nav.js, which you'll find in the client source components partials. And we're going to add in a new piece into here. We're in the main_nav. Yeah. Yeah, under partials, under the client. So why don't we add this stuff after about? That makes the most amount of sense. So after contact, hit enter. We're going to type in these LIs, right? With the class name. Basically the same thing above, right? Nav item. We're going to create a new link, and we're using React Router, which will basically do a soft request for our component and load it in for us. And it gets a class name of nav link. And we're going to point it to /login. And then we just need to give it the word login. And then we're going to nicely cheat. We're going to duplicate this a few times. Doop, doop. So that we have 3 of these all together. This one here is going to go to register. And we'll change login to register. And this last one's going to go to logout. And we'll change it to logout. So these are the 3 that you're writing. We'll add blogs in a minute once we've got these links working. Where's our good friend Dante? Dude never comes anymore. Yeah, he was here last week, but you weren't. He's like the Pokeroo. Oh, you guys don't have Polka Dot Door, do you? No. You know Polka Dot Door. Yeah. We're aging ourselves here. That's true. We age well. Like a fine old cheese. Who doesn't love old cheese? Like a cheddar. I just gauge everything on Mo. Once Mo's done, I'm pretty sure everybody's done.
Wow. Touche. Wow.
Incidentally, how are we doing, Mo? We're good?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we might as well add the other link. That way this nav file is completely done. We're going to add one link that's not going to exist yet, but we'll add it in anyways. So above the login, register, and logout, we'll add our blogs dropdown so that it's in our file. And we'll code this out just so you can kind of see how Bootstrap puts it together. because Bootstrap's the thing that's doing all the magic here to create the drop-down for us. We're not adding any JavaScript to do it or anything like that. It is all Bootstrap doing all the stuff. So once again, we still define an LI, right? Because LIs are what goes into lists. Don't put other things other than LIs or OLs. No, LIs. LIs are the only thing that go into lists. But in the LI itself, you can put whatever you want. So we'll give it a class name just like the other ones. But this is going to be nav-item, and it gets one more class called dropdown. Now, the way the dropdowns work in Bootstrap, you have a button that triggers the dropdown effect up and down, and then you have a list of the actual items themselves that go under the dropdown. So we'll need the button first. So we'll create an A tag, just a regular A tag. Don't call it link. And it's going to be equal to a nav link, just like the other guys are, except for it's going to have one other class name called dropdown toggle. It's href, which is a bit odd because if you look at the documentation for Bootstrap, it's a hashtag. But React actually frowns against hashtags unless they're actually linking to something. So what you have to do instead is just put an empty slash, which is fine because Bootstrap will hijack the request anyways and not actually let it go out. It uses event.prevent default in the background. Then we need to add data toggle. Data toggle is just a data attribute that it uses to be able to tell what features it supports, which in this scenario happens to be dropdown. We'll give it a role, which is completely optional, but describes what it is. So the role describes semantically that it is a button. We'll give it area, has pop-up, and make that equal to true. And that basically describes that it will produce a hidden element. And then area expanded equals false, which basically means that it is currently not expanded. It is currently hidden. Then close your tag. And then inside there is going to go the name of the dropdown. So whatever you want to call your dropdown, which I think blogs makes the most amount of sense, considering all the elements inside here are going to relate to it. So that's just the first step of our blog dropdown. The next piece is the list of links that we're going to have inside. And ours is going to be fairly simple. It does support things like separators and sublists and stuff like that, but we're doing something very simplistic. So we're just going to have a div with the class name equal to drop-down menu. So this tells it that this is the drop-down items that we're going to have. And then we're going to use our link because we want to be able to cache load our component. So it'll be link, class name, equal to drop-down dash item. Href is equal to /blogs. So that one's going to go to the index page of our blogs. And then you can duplicate that one. And the next one's going to go to /blog/new. And it will be creating a new blog. And then that's, whoops, sorry, let me fix that. There we go. That looks like that. And I'll leave it like that for a minute just because when I save, it's going to expand like no tomorrow, which is kind of annoying for you guys.
happened? Don't look at me.
I know.
Oh, what happened? I think we're facing off. Kidding. I'm kidding.
No. Anybody still typing that out? Yep.
This guy has a Mac PC, but like, or a Mac he's using his PC.
Can't get Node to work. He's scared to install it.
Why?
I'm not sure.
I actually want a Mac now. Oh, fuck. It's such a gorgeous laptop.
It is. And then he drops it on the floor and runs.
Oh my god, why is it so good? I want it.
Did you pay for it or did your parents pay for it? Nice.
His parents paid for everything else.
What a rat, bro. Calm down.
Don't be false.
I paid for it. My parents only pay my rent, food, everything else.
That was a rat thing.
School.
I pay for everything except my tuition.
That's good. I mean, they're paying your way through school. That way you can take care of them when they're old and decrepit. Yeah. All right. Anybody still typing? Svetlana, where are we at? Good? All right. So let's jump over to, we need to save because for some reason I didn't. Oh, yeah, right. Because it does this when I save, which makes it super confusing to read. Jump over here. It should have a little menu button now. Or if you expand, it should expand out, right? So the menu is nice and responsive because Bootstrap controls that for you. So notice when I drag it in, I get this little crazy menu that drops down like that, right? And when I expand out, it pulls it all out. So it takes care of all that for you. The drop down, when you click on it, should reveal like that. And when you click again, it should disappear. So we have blogs. We don't have blogs, but we do have new blogs. So you click on new blog, it should go there. And it doesn't. And the reason it doesn't is because we haven't set a route for it. Oh, yeah, we need an href. We desperately need hrefs. Sorry, these hrefs should actually be 2s, not hrefs. My apologies, that was my goof. Under the links, only the links. Like any of the link element, not the A. Don't change the A tags to 2s.
Wait, what are you doing? Sorry.
Just these two. Literally these 2 lines. Just those 2 lines. So these were hrefs. These are under your drop-down menu. So these were hrefs. They're now 2s.
Oh, okay. 1 second.
Yeah, 1 second. It's a long weekend, by the way. Don't come to school on Monday. You're the only person here. Super embarrassing for you. But because you're the only one here, you're the only one to be embarrassed by yourself.
Did you happen to download any module for the React for the sessions?
No. No, we have a sessions module for Node. We have Express Session on the Node side.
Yeah.
We did that like
I have that.
long time ago.
But I've done it for
Not for React. React doesn't require it because React's not using sessions. It's all client side. Yeah. All right. Everybody good? Nobody still typing? No? We're good? Cool. Jump over now. Now it should work. I'll expand this out a bit. There we go. Blogs. Blurgs. We're at blurgs. New blurg. New blurg. Yeah, yes. Okay. We are now ready to actually put in the blogs because there's no point in us creating a new blurg if it's not going to show up. So if you go to blogs, you'll notice that we have no blogs yet, right? In order for us to see the blogs, we're going to have to create some, but in order for us to see them, we also need to create the view, and we haven't created the view yet. So we need to create that view. So if you come back over here, let's close all these files because we don't need them all open now. For me, it's Command-Shift-W. For you, it's probably go click the little X.
what?
Go click the little X on each one of the tabs.
Thank you. So helpful.
Yeah, Ron.
Press Control-Shift-W to just close the...
Yeah, so I remapped. I should have preceded that with I remapped mine to close all my editors. Yeah.
Alt and F4.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Alt Control Delete. Shut down. That's how you close them out. All right, so we're going to create a new blurg thing. So under blurgs, blogs, do a new file and call it index.js. Ask Monday's class if anybody's ever seen the Target Lady. Out of this class, has anybody seen the Target Lady on SNL, played by Kristen Wiig? Yes, I knew Virginia did, but nobody else has seen her? Okay, never mind. That's where I get blurgs from, by the way. The Target Lady? Maybe I will at the break. Yeah, if I can find one, because sometimes YouTube strips them down because they're SNL videos. All right, go ahead, go forth, create this component. Not the whole thing, just the 3 pieces you need. The library import, the function name, and your export. And we're going to call it index.
What do we need? We need the Axios.
Nope, not yet. Don't worry about that. Just get the first 3 pieces. How's she cheating?
I'm kidding. Jeez.
That was a lame joke. Did you?
So much for changing things.
I think she should jump on the table and attack you. Just jump across like a badger. Just come at you with teeth, nails. Yeah.
Let's not do that just yet.
You ever seen that YouTube video about the honey badger?
Which one?
How honey badgers don't give a shit?
Yeah.
And like the damn thing eats a poisonous snake, falls asleep, wakes up 2 hours later. They're vicious. They're so angry, honey badgers. Anyways, I think of if I ever had to attack somebody, I would attack them like a honey badger. All right, we ready? Let's ask somebody out of the equation here. Lulu.
Yeah.
What's my first piece of my component?
Oh yeah. Import wrapped and comma. Use effect from
Oh, we're jumping ahead. Use effect. Nice.
Okay, Lulu.
Yes.
You put use effect in there, but we're going to need something else too. Not just use effect. There's one other module. Yeah, we'll need use state as well.
Oh.
So let's put use state in there.
I actually heard her say that it is.
Yeah? All right. I love how he's backing her up. She's like, no. He's lying. Steven, bus. Whoop.
Sorry.
Steve's got nothing else to say right now.
All right, Lily, I know you're itching at the bit there. What's the next piece? Function. Index with a capital I.
Hold on. No, he did capitalize.
That is so bad. Not every time.
Every time, bro.
All right,
Every time.
Mo, finish it off.
Export default index.
Nice. So that is definitely going to be a test question. 100%. You don't need these pieces. Like that piece you can get rid of, but those 3 main ones, import React from React, function index, and import default index are the 3 like absolute required pieces to create a component. You cannot have a component without those 3. Incidentally, to finish off this whole thing, we need one more thing.
Return.
Just the return. And if I'm not returning anything, what can I return?
Define.
Not undefined. Something other than undefined.
No.
You're on the right track.
No.
No. You can return null. That is now a working component. That entire thing is a component. It doesn't do anything, but it's a component. But it works. All right, cool. So let's fill this out with stuff that actually makes it worthwhile. So we're going to add Axios. So go ahead and add Axios in. Yep. I mean, if you know it, just jump ahead. That's totally fine.
I wasn't sure.
We want to implement a state object, and the reason why we're implementing a state object is because we're going to reach out to the back end. We're going to make a request to Node for our blogs. then we're going to want to store them, right? So we need to store them in a state object. So we're going to have blogs, set blogs, and make that equal to useState. And useState is going to be initialized with an empty array. So that's what's happening here. This is called destructuring. I think I've talked about it before. useState is going to return back an array of values. We're catching that array of values in these two variable names that we're putting in our own array. This is called destructuring, which means the first value that comes back will be the initialized value. So logs will be equal to an empty array because it's what we put in there. The set blogs is going to be equal to a function definition. That function definition is being provided by the useState module, and that will allow us to actually set blogs with whatever new value we want to set it with. And the reason why we're doing that is because state works dynamically. Wherever you now put blogs throughout your component, whenever you update using set blogs, it will immediately update the value wherever that reference point is, which is super, super cool. Makes things nice and easy for you. Okay, cool. So we have that in place. Now we need use effect. And that's what it looks like when it's got nothing inside of it. It's got a callback function and an empty array. And that empty array will stop it from just consistently calling. Because what will happen if we don't put the array there, every time state updates, this function will wind up executing. The problem there is that we're reaching out to Axios, grabbing the data, and setting state with it. Well, guess what? State just updated. So what's it going to do? Reach out through Axios, grab the data, and set state. And then it's just going to keep doing that over and over and over and over again because it doesn't understand that it's already done it once and we don't need to do it again. By giving it an empty array, we basically say, hey, only the stuff in this array should cause you to update. And yet, there's nothing in the array, which means it will literally fire once and never fire again, which is totally fine.
And that's only for the Axios, right?
Only for the what?
Axios, the user empty array.
No, you use that for anything you're doing a mounted function with.
Okay.
Yep. All right, inside here, we're going to put our Axios logic in here. So we're going to do a get /API/blogs, which is going to reach out to our node. That's going to return a promise, which we're going to grab the success part in a then and the error part in a catch. With the then, we can actually write this on one line because we only have one return statement. So we can explicitly return it or implicitly return it. So we can do result, right? And that's going to return set blogs result dot data. Oh, no, don't put a semicolon there. And then in the catch, you can do error, preferably inside the parentheses, error. And for now, we'll just console log it. Console error, error. I had to actually rewrite console log. I had to override it today and make it so that it spit out the current node process and a date. So a timestamp in front of every single one of them, and then color code them all. So that errors were red, warnings were orange, no, yellow. Yeah, yellow, infos were blue, and logs were white using a CLI tool. It's one of the powers that people don't understand or don't get into with JavaScript is that everything that you're using can be overridden. You can go in and write your own version of it. So if you don't like what it's doing or you want to augment it, you can go rewrite it and augment it. That's the console log, that's on errors, that's everything, absolutely everything. Which makes it very powerful. You can do that in other languages too, it just becomes a lot trickier. All right, we don't want to return null. I mean, how boring is that, right? And I also don't want to write out all of this HTML because that is also super boring. So what we are going to do is, oh no, I made Monday's class write this out. Right. That makes sense why I did that actually, because this is new stuff. So we always write out new stuff. We'll copy and paste other stuff. Fair deal? All right, you just look disappointed. You're good? Okay, cool. because your happiness is very important to me. Div class name. That sounded facetious, but it wasn't. I meant it with sincerity. That's what they all say. Whore. All right, we need to put the header in here and an H1. All blurs go to heaven. So that part you already know. The div that we're going to write next you already know. And it's going to have a table inside it with a class name. This is a bit different probably. This is Bootstrap stuff. Table striped. Bootstrap will actually take care of that for us and automatically stripe each of the rows for us. And in addition, it will also create a nice responsive reaction with our tables as well. Bootstrap's very handy at points. T-head, we'll put in there as well. And we'll define a row. And that row will have 4 THs. It will have title. It will have status. It will have author. And then the last one I usually leave blank because it's going to be the actions, but Monday made me put the word actions in there. They did not like that it was blank and empty. It weirded them out. So we will put actions in there. And then we're going to have our T body. And then the magic's going to go in there. Because you got to think about it. Each row is going to represent a blog. And we don't know how many rows they're going to be. So we dynamically need to produce those rows, right? So this is where I would say React gets a little confusing. We have to jump in and out of HTML. Okay? So right now we're in HTML. And because we're in HTML, we cannot write JavaScript raw inside the HTML. We have to escape it, right? So we have to get out of HTML and back into JavaScript. To do that, we do that with a set of curly braces, which you guys have seen maybe a few times where we put like values inside curly braces and in the page. So go ahead and type those curly braces inside the T body. T body. The JavaScript we're going to write in there is going to be blogs, not blogos, blogs.map. That's going to take a callback function, which would be blog, arrow. And it's going to explicitly return whatever goes inside these parentheses. We could do that with curly braces and write another return statement in the next line, but I find this is clear. All right. We went from JavaScript to HTML. Now we're back to JavaScript. Hit enter between those curly braces. Guess what we're doing? Back to HTML. Now React has one requirement. It will give you a warning if you don't do it. Otherwise, it's a good idea to do it. And that's that it wants each iteration to be keyed with a unique key. You don't have to do it, but it will give you a warning. And the easiest way to do that is just to use the ID that we already have on the blogs because they're already unique, which means each key will be unique anyways. And the way that looks is it's key equals, back into JavaScript with a set of curly braces, blog dot underscore ID. And those will be unique each time. Once you've done that, put your cursor between the two tags and hit enter, so it creates a space between them. We'll create a TD tag. In there, we'll add a link. Okay. Now, we're not going to have link available to us until we include it as part of our library. So why don't we jump up to the top, and we'll import brackets link from React Router DOM. And that will give us the link tag to use down there. Once you're done that, go ahead and scroll down. And let's finish off this link tag. So link 2 equals, put a set of curly braces in there, and then add a set of dirty backticks into it. The reason why we're doing that is we need string interpolation so that we can create a link that's unique to that blog, because we're going to use this as our show. And it's going to be /blogs/ $, set of curly braces, blog._ID, and then close the link. And then inside there, another set of curly braces, and that's going to be blog.title. The other ones are a lot more simple. It's just an opening set of TDs with a set of curly braces in it and blog.status. And then the next one is TD, and it's blog.author.first_name space blog.author.last_name. Now, I did this on Monday, and it actually gave me an error because author wasn't defined at all times. So what we will need to do is before each of these, we will need to write blog.author $. And what that does, in case you forgot, it basically says, is this true? Because if this is true, and this is true, return this. Okay? If this is false, the whole statement's false. If this is false, the whole statement's false. And it'll just return back null or false. Right? So it'll be empty. We won't actually get anything inside there. Otherwise, we're going to get the blog.author first name out of it. These comparison operators work like that in a lot of languages. Right? So try it in whatever language you're using because it can really shorten your code up. The other way to write that would be a ternary. Blog.author, question mark, then blog.author or null if you wanted to write it. That's like a shorthand ternary. All right. Anybody still typing? No? I'm going to save. It's going to blah, blah, blah. And I think we're good. I think we can actually go check the blogs now.
Need the actions column.
Need the what? Who?
Four headings and 3.
You're so correct. We need a set of empty TDs. And actually, you can't put empty TDs in. Well, you can. Or you can just self-close them like I just did. Where it's just TD with a self-close. It's up to you how you want to write it.
What are you doing? 3, 4?
4 altogether.
What is that? When did you put that?
When did I put what? This thing?
No, this. That's space.
Oh, no, my stupid prettier did that. You don't need that. Yeah, no, my linter sometimes adjusts things. Yes, Ron?
On line 44, what's the order of those brackets?
It's parenthesis, curly brace.
Okay, then.
No worries. I'm trying to remember what I use for that. Because you see how mine are color-coded? I use an extension that does that. And it actually color-codes all your brackets, so it's easy to see when you've got multiple nests of them, what's what and where what belongs.
Mine is pretty all around. Just white.
It also, like when I click it, it automatically highlights the other one, so I can see where it is quickly.
Sublime does that.
Yeah, Sublime's kind of nice that way. Okay, let's go look at it. Now this should be, if I'm correct, I thought we had this public facing. But it's not actually creating the Axios request. Which means either our network is hitting an error, or something has gone awry. Because we should be at least saying a request to go through. On the network tab, every time we hit this index page. Oh, I know why. Do you guys know why? What's that? No. Nope. Much, much simpler. Let's go to routes.js under the client source components. We have not defined a route, so it has no idea what the heck we're talking about. I'm just going to duplicate this one up here and call it blog index. And make that point to blogs index. And then underneath blog new down here,
Is that in the client section?
this is just going to go to blogs and blog index. Yes, it is. There. Those are the two lines you're changing. Did you find it? Okay. Now, we're not going to be able to create a blog until we log in, but we should be able to see the blogs because they're all public. Public. Hey, Mo, what do you know? Flargs. Good? All right. Cool. Anybody else still typing? No, we're good? Cool. Let's jump over to Google Chrome. Oh, we've got a 500 error. That's a good sign. Could not proxy request API blogs from localhost 3000 to localhost 4000. Now, sometimes, more not often than not, that is bullshit. And it's not true. And it's actually going through, but for some reason, the back end is actually throwing an error because it's not routing properly to where it needs to go. So likely that's the case in this scenario. We're not getting to where we need to go. Okay, so it's not a bad idea for us to go check that. So there's a few ways that we can actually break that down. The first thing we do is go to the blogs controller, and we rule this out right off the get-go. Put your cursor up here, do a console.log, and we will look at the request.params, I think it is, not body. Would it be body? Just do the request.params. We'll just type in request beforehand. And then save that. The reason we're doing that is because the server won't lie to us. If the request is coming through and hitting there, we'll see this console log inside our console. We'll see it on this side, right? And that will at least tell us that React is doing its job and that React is not the problem and that it's the node side, okay? Which I'm confident it is the node side. So if we come back here, refresh, sometimes you just need a refresh. That also is sometimes the case. Incidentally, there's my request down there. So it is working. We just needed to refresh. The reason why that happens on occasion is sometimes the React side and the Node side will get out of sync. And by refreshing, it puts it back into sync again. And everything starts proxying the way it's supposed to. That won't happen in production because of the way production works, but it will happen in development because of it proxying requests off to localhost 4000. So if the two get out of sync, try a refresh first before you go ahead and edit your files with a console log. Do a refresh first and see if it goes back into sync. All right, cool. I still have some stuff here. That's great. The show is not going to work. We're at 5:05. We should probably take a small break. I'm just going to get rid of that console log I wrote because I don't need it. Cool. Let's take a 15-minute break, and I'll help anybody with broken stuff. All right. Okay, so we have our index, but we do not have our actual show. So if you click on these guys, it goes nowhere. It is routing the correct path at the top. We just don't actually have the show view. So we're going to need to create that next. And it's not that bad. It's actually quite small for a file. So under our blogs, under components blogs, we're going to create a new file. And guess what we're going to call it? Show. Yeah. I mean, you can either type with me or try to type it on your own. See what you can get written out. What you think you will actually need in order to make this work. Keep in mind, we want to show one blog. So you're definitely going to need database connections. Probably need to use effect, stuff like that. You already done? Show off. Nora's writing it by hand. When he's done, he's just going to throw his paper at me. My dad, my father told me this horrible story of how they used to program when he went to school. So that would have been he was born in 54. So by the time he hit high school, it would have been like 69-ish, right? 70. They use these things called punch cards. And it was a long card, yeah, and you had to literally punch out the holes for the whole program and then feed card after card into this giant machine, and then it would add 2 plus 2 for you. Like, stuff like that. It was really terrible.
And the name patch comes from the term patch, because they patched them.
Really? I didn't know that.
Because it's a long script.
Right.
To make it, change in the code.
Yeah.
Patch a piece of other code in there.
That's so funny. I didn't know that.
That makes so much sense.
It does. It definitely makes sense.
But also,
You're going to notice this is very similar to index. There's only one spot where it's going to get a little weird. Just writing out the basic pieces right now. And for the return, you can go to show.js under the CRUD part 2 and just copy the little bit that's there and paste it in, because it's really not that big of a thing. So go to lesson plan builder, React CRUD part 2, and then you can even do show.js. There we are, and I mean it's like 7 lines. If you really want to. Yes, you can definitely copy the whole thing. Cheater. These blog double ampersand signs can die in a fire. They are redundant. They're not necessary. What's that? Who's not? What word? Too soon, I guess. All right, moving on. Remember how I told you inside these brackets, if you don't put anything in here, it won't update. But if you put something in there, it will update. If we give this thing props, it will update anytime props changes. Incidentally, if you don't give it props and then you attempt to use props inside of it, it gets mad and gives you a warning. So just put props in there and make everything, nice and hunky-dory.
also, just to preserve the naming convention, we should delete the as from set blocks.
So, what?
Line 5, set blocks.
Yeah.
Instead of set blocks, it should be set blocks.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Preserve the naming convention.
Yeah. That's correct. Burke is correct. That should be blog, set blog, and not blogs. I don't know why I wrote blogs. It was accidental. Put your cursor between the curly braces. We're going to use Axios. And it's going to go to, oh no, we have to use backticks here. It's going to go to /API/blogs/ $ curly braces for string interpolation. And then this is kind of annoying, but we're going to go to props. We're going to access a property on props called match. Match is also going to give us a property called params. And from the params, we're going to get the ID. It's a little annoying to get where we need to go, but that's what we need. That's obviously going to return a promise. The then promise, super simple, not really much different than what we did in the index. So we'll just do a set blog result.data. And the catch, we'll just console log it for now. Or console error it for now. And that's it. That's show. So I will say this is probably one of the most annoying pieces right here. Where that ID is coming from is in the query string. When we actually send out a request to blog / and one of the blog identifiers, we're going to bind that, just like we did in Node, to a bound parameter. We're going to bind it to a parameter. And we need to set that in our routes.js. So, everybody done? No, they're not. It's warm in here. This little fan is basically useless. Any movie requests for next week? Not next week, sorry, the following week. I have Endgame. Okay, I'll play Endgame. Shrek? I don't have
The
Shrek.
new Spider-Man, I haven't seen it yet.
I don't have that.
Come on.
I can't play illegal movies,
Nobody needs to know.
says the kid who vapes in class. You're bound to get somebody arrested one day.
Why am I getting the props?
I'm not sure.
It's underlying both props.
Oh, did you add props to the function show up here?
I did, yeah.
Did you spell it correctly? Hubcac error. All right.
Mr. S.
Are we good? Good. Cool. Let's go to routes, because the route is slightly different than what you're used to. So under blog index, let's do import blog show from /blogs/show. Okay, so we'll import that first. And then under the /blogs route that we wrote down here, we'll create a new route, exact path equals, and it's going to go to blogs/:ID, and its component will be equal to the blog show. And what that :ID will do is the same thing it does in Node with the express router. It will do a bound parameter. What? Nice. Yeah, your show should work now. I mean, it won't be exactly, fantastic or anything. You can make it fantastic. What's that? Yeah, pictures become a bit more trickier. I mean, like adding a hard picture is just a matter of adding image source in. But if you want to do dynamic pictures and do uploading for dynamic pictures, that gets a lot trickier. Yeah. Because we actually need to put in a file writing system into the node side so that we can handle it. Yeah, exactly. That's essentially what happens. It goes through your file transfer protocol. It gets written to a temporary storage on your system, like temporarily in memory, and then it gets moved. Like you literally move it over to a new file location wherever you choose to move it to. That's the way it works in pretty much every programming language that I can think of off the top of my head. There's none that just directly write to a directory. They all move. And now with Heroku, it's even worse. The only reason why I haven't really gotten into it is because with Heroku, we have to actually write to S3 in Amazon because Heroku will not let you upload to Heroku. Like they will, but it won't maintain it. It'll disappear by tomorrow. So, which sucks, right? So we have to write to S3s, and that gets a lot trickier. All right, let's open up our browsers. Go to your blogging project. Mine already loaded, but it reminds me of Sesame Street. Today's letter is letter G. So you should be able to click on these. Cool. Isn't that exciting? Aren't you so excited? I know you're excited. Shake your head now. All right, let's do an edit next. Virginia's happy because her project's slowly getting done in this class. All right, jump over to Visual Studio Code. Underneath blogs, blurgs, add a new file called edit.js. All right, you're going to need effect, state, redirect, Axios, React. So go ahead and add your 3 libraries that you're going to need. 3 libraries and 5 modules altogether. I'll let you write that out. I'm not typing anything yet. Probably closer to what you did for new and register. All right, I'll see if I can catch up. Did you say no? Oh. I hate it when the hinter does that and it just like hijacks the whole thing and types out this big long thing for you. It's like, yeah, that must be what I meant. Yeah, exactly. Dunk your head, IDE. The worst one for that is Visual Studio. Not Visual Studio Code, but Visual Studio. It is horrible for that. Not to mention, it's already grossly overweight IDE. No reason for an IDE to be like 2 gigs to download. Like installing Node on that thing, not Node, sorry, the C+ library on that thing is 6 gigs. For what? Like, for what? Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Alrighty. Now, remember how I told you that anytime we're inserting new things or editing things, we'll always have the same state pieces. There will always be the same code every single time. So, you look like you're confident. Yeah? What's my first one?
We will have the const and square brackets, and we will call it
Blog? Did you say blog? No. It will be inputs. Ta-da! Set inputs. I know what you're thinking. You are correct. We will need to pull the blog back. But instead of writing it to a blog, we'll just set the inputs. Cool. Equals. Yep. What's my default? What's my initializer?
Okay.
Call them braces. All right. What else are we gonna need? We need one more state. Yeah, the redirect one. That's fine. I expected you to. Not that I'm calling you a cheater, but I expected you to use your code to tell me what to do. Also fine, because you still have to know what you're talking about.
That middle and code as well. It should be set false.
Oh, you're 100% correct.
Very good.
Nice. Nice catch. Good eye, good eye. That's what they say when you go to baseball games for your kids for Little League. It's like, nice catch, good eye, good eye. That's what they say. All right, we need a whole bunch of things. We need. So when you say cheating, you actually mean like solidly just handing my code back to me. Let's add in the use effect piece. We'll just stub it. I also want to stub two functions. One to deal with our submissions and the other to deal with our inputs. How do I deal with my submissions? We need a...
Handle submit.
Yep, we're going to use handle submit. What argument am I giving it?
You're giving an event.
This is simply pointless at this point. Just beating you to the punchline here. Because you're just going to tell me I need that. What do absolutely all components have to do? They have to return something or other. That's just to return an empty set of parentheses, and then, like Mo, we'll head over to the lesson plan, and we'll just copy out this div. He copied the whole file, but we'll just copy the div. There we go, and it's in there. Because everything inside there is the same. The only differences are these pieces here. So you see this default value piece that's here? This basically sets the input as a default value. And the default value will be input's title. So as long as input's title is populated, it will populate that field with input's title. The text area, same thing. On value will automatically populate the text area with an input piece. However, I'm going to challenge you to help me with this one. When this gets set, we wind up with kind of an issue where the state changes it as fast as we're trying to modify it, so we can't modify it. So I need to fix that. So that's not fixed currently. So we'll deal with that. And then this one is basically setting the select box with the default input status, but that default value goes on the select, not on an option. Okay. So there's 3 examples that you can use in there for your own projects and that. It covers basically everything except for radio buttons and checkboxes, right? So if you need radio buttons and checkboxes, you'll have to figure that one out. All right, or just contact me and I'll see if I can help you. Cool. Let's do the use effect part first. So the reason why we're using effect is because this is a show, we need to go and an edit. We need to go get the blog it's requesting, bring it back, and display it. So this logic is going to be identical to the show logic that we used. You can even copy and paste it if you wanted to. So it's Axios get API blogs. Yeah, props.match.params. Good idea. Yeah, and I need backticks, not quotes. Dirty backticks. That's correct. Dirty backticks. And a dot then, and a dot catch, because it's a promise and we're returning. I mean, let's just finish out the catch right now because it's silly and simple. Console.error. Error. And in the then, aha, you are right. I know what you're about to say. But we can make this much smaller. Think about it. Look at what we're adding into it. How could we make that smaller? So we can do result. No, everything else is fine. I'm talking to Mo because he copied and pasted this. What are we setting input with,
Should we use an array to
No, the object there is fine.
title?
but we don't need to use the object. We can make it much smaller.
So it will be set inputs. Result.
Yes, result.data. That's all we need because that is that whole object you're looking at there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Look at the object itself. Like title is being set with result.data.title,
That's fine.
result.data.content, result.data.status, which means result.data is that object.
Oh, okay.
Don't we still need to set inputs then?
What's that?
Don't we still need to set inputs?
Yes, we do need to set the inputs, so we'll set inputs and wrap that around result data. Here's a completely bizarre question. Does anybody have a lightning cable? Perchance. No? Do you? Can I borrow it for a minute?
What's the cable?
Just the cable. Or I'm going to have a dead tablet in a minute. Oh, thank you. Usually I remember to bring mine, but I'd have to go to the truck to go grab it. Thanks. All right.
So
Does this cable work? Oh, it's a touchy cable. A little bit.
Lily, you're a new Mac user.
Yeah. That cable, I think, is damaged inside.
It's actually part of but it's working for him.
Okay. Let's try this. Like, I can always throw a break and go grab mine from my car. But... There we go. Yep. We're online. Okay, so we've got our edited resource. We still need a few more pieces. So right now we're actually reaching out, grabbing the blogs, and pulling them back. And we're storing the blog that we grab, right, into our inputs, which means that will now update all of our input blocks that we have below in our form. Because that's how that works. All right? Yay, React. It does things reactively. All right. Handle submit. So, first, got to prevent that default. We don't want it just firing off to wherever. Next thing we'll do is our Axios post. And we're going to post to ABI, blogs, update. That's a hard one to do. Like that. Nope, sorry. Writing things too fast. And we need to give it an object. The object we're going to give it is going to have an ID. That's where we're going to put in that props.match.params.id. And the next one is going to be blog, colon. I can make it equal to the object, or look at that and tell me what I can make it equal to.
Inputs title or inputs.
Just inputs. Exactly. Just inputs, because inputs is already an object. Boom. Mo was learning. I'm going to make you do a public service announcement. Might as well fill out this part, the catch, because we already know what it is, and then we got to do the then. The then, very simple. All it's going to do is literally set the redirect to true. And the reason why that is because this use effect is what's setting those fields, right? This handle submit only just needs to submit it, and then once everything is submitted and it's good, we just need to get out of there. We'll redirect. If it fails because they didn't submit something properly or whatever, that's totally fine. The form will remain populated, and we'll have a notification to deal with that at the time. You okay? Dying slowly? I mean, we're all dying slowly, technically. Oh. It's worse if you're dying quicker. Yeah. All right. In the handle input change, do that event.persist so we don't wind up with things overlapping each other. Let's use a bit of destructuring because, I mean, why not? name value equals event.target. So we'll use object destructuring. And then set inputs. All right. And we can do this with inputs like this. And we can just do inputs, name is equal to value, as Daniel pointed out last week, and then we just return inputs. You don't actually need to do that. However, I'm kind of wondering if we do, and that might be the problem that I'm having, actually. Come to think of it. Last step, just before this return, we need to handle our redirect. Because if everything is good, we want to redirect. So if redirect, then return, redirect to equals / blogs, self-close, done. And that is edit. Or edit. It's a blur gird. Oh my gird. Way I see it, I have to teach either way. And you have to learn from me whether you like it or not.
I love it. I love it.
I just do me. Trying to convince Connor to teach. He could be a good teacher. Oh, that reminds me. How many of you know Connor? Just out of curiosity. Cool. Do me a favor. Start calling him Connie.
Connie.
He's such a monster.
Been calling him Connie for so long, and then he's like, I said, I'm going to tell my students to call you Connie. And he said, you better not. So I was like, yep, I'm definitely doing it. So yeah, Connie. Con dog? That is pretty good. It's a nice little play on words. The Nard dog, yeah. That is what it reminds me of The Office. Yeah.
Office, yes.
Andy wanted to be called the Nard dog. Nobody called him the Nard dog. Just him.
There's only one nickname I really hate.
What's that?
I'm not gonna tell you, but use it. Momo, I hate him for calling Momo.
Momo?
Yeah.
Does your mom call you Momo?
No.
Does she call you Moe?
No, she calls me Mohammed.
Mohammed? But do you say it Mohammed or do you say it Mohammed?
No, we say Mohammed.
Mohammed. What am I thinking of? What language says Mohammed?
Arab.
Oh, okay, yeah, right. But it's like one of the most popular names in the world.
Yes.
I think it's the most popular name in the world. Yeah. Something like, I don't know, like just short of 1 billion people or something stupid. Like it's like a ridiculous number of people.
It's true, yeah.
You just go to the country and go, Mohammed. Everybody looks at you.
It's either Muhammad or Ali or Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. The boxer. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Yeah. All right. That is done. Yes. And I've totally lost track what we were up to. Let's go see if it works. I think that's the next step. What? The routes. Right. Yes, you are correct. We need the route. Let's go edit. So it'll be import blog edit from /blogs/edit. And then you can literally duplicate the blog show and then just put /edit and change blog show to blog edit. So you'll have this one and you will have this one. And then we will go create a path. Are you going, like Dark Crystal? You know they're coming out with a TV show for Dark Crystal on Netflix. I'm kind of excited. Apprehensive. The only thing is, though, is they said that they're using the puppets from the original movie. So everything is puppets, no CG. They said so far there's no CG, so it could be good. Yeah, it could be pretty decent. That is the one kids movie that kids should not see because it is terrifying. Yeah. absolutely. That and Labyrinth. Labyrinth can be complete. And Never-Ending Story, specifically the scene with the wolf. Yeah. Absolutely terrifying. The 3 movies I grew up watching. I also grew up with, like, raised by my dad because it was a single father family kind of thing. He showed me Beastmaster. That is not a movie for a child. But I saw Beastmaster. Yeah.
Dracula 2000.
Oh, God.
That was a great life choice for me.
Yeah. I was 9 when I saw Hellraiser. And I didn't sleep for like a week. Jesus. Good parenting. Yeah.
Parenting 101.
Yeah. Yeah. That's boomer parenting. Well, I wanted to watch that movie. So yeah. Why couldn't the kid watch it? All right, so that should be, again, we have the bound parameter, right? So the ID, but we're pointing off to edit. So we need to create that path. So you remember the actions you created an index? That's where we're going to create that. So let's jump over to our main _ nav. Yes, Lulit.
You have to add that button to that.
Button to what?
To the navigation.
Yeah. No. You're exactly right. Yeah. No, not to navigation. Sorry, to index. What am I thinking? So you're going to blogs index.js. That's where we're going to add the button. So you remember this self-closing TD we did down here? Yeah, it's no longer going to be self-closing. It's now going to close properly. And we're going to add a link to equals some dirty backticks, because you're going to need them. Dirty backticks. And inside there, you're going to write /blogs $$ curly braces blurg._id /edit, and then the word edit in lowercase letters. I mean, if we had Font Awesome, we could just do the icon, but it's fine. Thank you. I love recognition for writing a link. It's awesome. That's true. We can make it pretty. All right, let's jump over to the browser. Are we ready? Anybody not ready? Spavani, you ready, or are you still typing? All right. Now you see your little edit button, right? But you're not going to be able to edit because of why? I mean, click it. It'll go there. Try to modify it. Hit submit. We have a bunch of issues. One, that is not a thing that I wrote there. But notice this wonderful message. What's it say, Lily?
Sign in, idiot.
Doesn't say idiot. It says idjit.
I know you want to say idiot.
No, I wanted to say idjit. Okay, I need to go find where I wrote console.error, but didn't write error. Oh, right there. I found it. If you copied me, you probably did the same thing. Line 23 should be console.error and not error. Shouldn't be No. That if you copied me, because you copied and pasted, you're probably fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You're good.
I guess cheating was paid off.
All right, now that's better. So now we're getting this message, sign in idjit, because we can't do this unless we're logged in. So we're going to need to log in. And you'll notice that every time you make a change inside your React, you have to log in because it actually resets off those cookies. So you'll have to log in every single time. Uh-oh. Oh, because I wrong password login. Try that again. There we go. I'm going to edit this one, and it's not going to work. Does anybody know why this one's not going to work when I edit it? Why didn't it edit? Because I don't own it. Because it's not mine. So that's the only thing. So I had a few students use my login details and add in things here and there, which is totally fine. but I cannot edit these things because they're the owner of it. And if you remember the logic that we wrote in the node, you have to be the owner in order to edit whatever it is. You can't edit things you don't own. So the way around this is create one that you own. So create a new blog. I mean, we got to test it anyways, right? This is my blog.
Blah, blah, blah.
Mo is a cheater.
But it's off.
We'll publish that. Hit submit. There we go. This is my blog. I am the author because it says ASDF, ASDF. And I can edit it. So if I edit it, this is what I was talking about. I can't edit the text area. Something's goofy there. I'll fix that in a second maybe. This is my blog. Holy smokes. Should work. Should be published. There we go. This is my blog. Holy smokes. So it's working. The edit's working. What's that?
Mine should work though. Because I have the 3 dots. Because of
That's the thing I'm wondering. I'm wondering if the 3 dots in this scenario actually make a difference. Let's try it. I'm trying to remember how I did that.
either set inputs.
Wait, I just want to make sure I'm doing it under the correct area.
I should under the annual input.
Right. Thank you. Okay, so this is going to go ... inputs, comma. This is going to go name equals value.
No, you gotta put return on top. Return. Yeah.
Whoop.
Whoa. Cool, yeah.
There.
Although you don't have the return inputs.
Right, because we don't actually need it because we're already returning back anyway, so we don't need that. That's just a waste. All right, let me just double check. Don't bother changing yours yet until I check this. See if this works. Oh, that's not going to work because I got to log in. Log in. ASDF, ASDF. Submit. Edit. Yeah. Your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea why, but it works. I'm going to change this so Mo doesn't tell on me. Wonderful. There we go. Cool. So we have edit. We have new. I'll put that code back up. Change your set inputs to that so it works. No. It'll work right through forever. Do you need a break? You need some Crash Royale? You have what? Okay, yeah, no, we can take a break. Yeah, go ahead and copy that. We'll take a 15-minute break, and then we'll do the delete, and then we'll call it a night, which is basically on Monday 1. All right, so we'll need to create a new component under the blogs. So if you right-click on blogs and choose to create a new file, let's just call it destroy.js. And this is going to work extremely similar, actually basically exactly like logout.js works, because all we're doing is destroying the session. We can redirect whether it's destroyed or not. It'll all work for us. So we're going to import React, use effect from React without weird quotes. Also import redirect in our curly braces from React Router DOM and Axios. Axios. Then we'll write our function called destroy. We'll give it props. And we'll export that stuff. We created a destroy.js file under blogs. We can go ahead and write the use effect function in there. Give it its callback. And its array with the props in it.
Does it still have the colon ID for the route?
Would it still have the colon ID for the routes? For destroy? Yes.
Post, not get.
Yes, it has to be.
No, you do it with post, not get.
No, it's get. In React, it's get.
Then you do get.
You have to think of it, it's a two-step process, right? So React is using get to send the data to us. We're taking the data from the get and posting it to the API. It's a two-step process.
But why would you still do a post with React?
You could if you really wanted to, but it's not really common to do that with React Router, to set it as a post. You set it as a get, usually. You can do something like that. So you can actually bind props to React routes that will actually have it go through the React route to the other side. It's still always get. It's never post because it's client-based. So it can't be post. You can't post to another thing. You're in the client. So it's always get. It's not even get, actually. It's literally just passing variables from one point to another. It's not even get. Does that make sense? Yeah.
That makes sense if it's not get.
It's not anything. There's no HTTP method happening. Yeah. So we're going to return redirect to equals blurgs because we want to see that the blurg is gone. Goodbye, blurg. We'll miss you.
For what part were you talking about gets or Axios? Or?
No, not Axios. So when we use React Router, right, and you put in a route, and you say, okay, I want you to have this bound parameter in here, and it actually makes a request to the next point, it's not a GET request. It's not an HTTP request at all, actually. It's all happening internally in memory. All it's doing is going and grabbing the component, rendering it, and soft rendering it back. That's it. So the actual parameter gets attached to the props because it's not even a GET request. So, yeah. Which can be a little confusing. It makes sense when you think of the fact that React is front end. It's only client, so it can't do a GET request like that. All right, API, blogs, destroy, and then give that an object.
Axios dot post.
What?
No, nothing. Just reading out loud.
Props.match, .params, .id. That's literally the whole component. Just like logout, all it's really doing is deleting the post and then getting the heck out of there.
Deleting is authenticated.
Not on the React side. On the Node side. Node's actually handling the authentication part. From the React side, what we will actually do, we would hide the links that are not necessary for people, right? Basically, everything you're doing is kind of, what's the word to look for it? It's user experience based. It's not protected. There's no security there, right? Because it doesn't mean anything to us. The JWT is our only point of security. It doesn't stop people from sending a request off to Node. They're going to send requests all the time. That's why we have to, just like in a regular, normal system, we have to provide proper security on the server side because it's the only thing we can control. We never control the front end. Because at the end of the day, they can literally drop their own interface in, right? So it's irrelevant at that point. Yeah. All right, so that will allow us to destroy a blurg right? And then when we're done, we'll redirect. But that's not actually what happens. I'm curious. Will the Axios request happen before we redirect, after we redirect, before we redirect, or is it anybody's game?
Anybody's game.
How many people say it's anybody's game? So Virginia thinks they happen parallel.
Since user effect is a promise.
It is a promise. No, it's not. It's not a promise. But use effect is when the component mounts.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Do you think it will happen and then return will happen? So it will complete and then it will return and redirect?
Yeah.
Or do you think the return redirect will just happen whenever it happens and the use effect will happen whenever it happens?
No, I will do it simultaneously and then redirect. So what Virginia said.
So you think parallel or asynchronous because it's JavaScript. So how many people say async? And how many people say synchronous? It's actually async. So, but do we care?
No,
We don't. Why don't we care?
because it does what we need it to do.
Exactly. It's going to do what it needs to do. And what we can do when it's done is actually send back a notification whether it worked or not, right? But we don't care because there's no rendered view here, right? We're going to redirect no matter what happens. Whether it errors out, whether we get a success, doesn't matter. We're going to redirect. So this can happen out of sync. We don't care. And it's actually better for it to happen async because it means things happen in a better order, right? So this can go ahead and redirect back, and then the thing can delete, and then it will send back its notification. Happens pretty fast anyways, so it's not really a big deal. It's not something you're really going to notice. If you wanted it to happen synchronously, you would have to return null and then provide the return redirect in the use effect. So it becomes a bit of a mess. It's actually better from a architecture standpoint to leave it that way. Makes more sense. All right. Can we destroy? No, we can't because we don't have things done yet. Let's go to our routes. Let's go ahead and add our destroy in. All right. Destroy. Terminate. I'm going to duplicate the edit and just change it to destroy. And these are the two lines you're going to write. What? We're going to make another link. Where are we going to make that link? Well, that's right. Nope. We don't need to create another TV. We're going to put it right beside at it. We're going to put a pipe and then right beside at it. That's what Wheeze is going to do. Anybody still typing? No? All right, let's open up Index. Down here, you can literally just duplicate that link to the edit one, change it to destroy. I'm going to call it delete, though. So the path will be destroy, but the actual thing will be delete. And just between the two, I'm going to add the pipe character. And my pipe character is located above my enter key, and I have to hit shift and hit it. It shares the space with the backslash. Incidentally, backslash forward slash, right? The way you know that is the direction it's tilting in. So if it's tilting towards the right, it's a forward slash. If it's tilting towards the left, it's a backslash. Just, I'm saying that because so many people get that confused on which one's which. I know I did. All right, save that. Make sure you saved your routes. Anybody still typing that one out? Did you duplicate the top line? Did you duplicate edit? I'm just curious if you did. Are you typing it out character for character? Do you need me to go back? We're good? All right. Is everybody else good? You look perplexed, Ron. We good? Okay.
Yeah, I just have a bunch of
Inside the index.js?
inside of the blogs
Which file?
In with the same file with index.js, and like right after
Line 32.
it's all red.
All of this is all red.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's your linter. So down here at the very bottom, Ron, mine says JavaScript React. What does yours say?
Yeah, same thing.
Really?
And when I go to when I try to go to the website, it says cannot find index.js.
Maybe it's the brace. It's not a squiggly brace. It's not.
Yeah, like this is a squiggly brace.
Yeah. After the arrow.
Oh yeah, this is a parenthesis. Do you have a curly brace there? Yeah. So that's because of explicit returns, right? So this is why I should type these out more verbose than I do. But when you do this, when you have the arrow function, right? So you've got blogs, arrow function. Whatever comes after here is explicitly returned unless you add a curly brace. If you add a curly brace, then you have to add return and then your brackets and whatever you're going to type. But you can cheat and add a parenthesis here, add a parenthesis down here, and then type in your HTML in there. So you can kind of cheat. And then this is explicitly returned. So that's the way that goes. But yeah, it's a little confusing because you're so far away. And it's kind of, sometimes I really wish the things were a little bit more outlined. They're not really that outlined. All right, we should be able to access this now. Where's my blogs? Where's my blurgs? Gonna have to log in though. Don't forget to lurg in. ASDF, ASDF. I've typed ASDF so many times it's no longer a spelling error. I have taught the Mac that ASDF is a legitimate word. Proud moment. Submit. Did you see when I typed ADSF? It came up with the red line. Yeah. All right, let's edit something. I can only edit my own things, right? So we know edit works now. I feel bad, Mom. I'm so bad. There we
That's not
go.
what I read it at first. Holy. Oh my god. I'm sorry, man.
Not going there.
Just delete it.
Say goodbye, Mo.
Bye.
Uh-oh, didn't work. Why didn't it work? Your blog was successfully destroyed. Well, that's a lie. Oh, no, it did go. That was weird. Oh, probably out of sync node for a second there. Everything's fine now. It was just slightly out of sync. All right, cool. We'll do the notifications next week. We will deploy to Heroku next week. And then I will issue out the quiz for next week as well. But otherwise, we'll call it a night. Because it's 6:30. And I'll help those who have broken applications.